Item number 10, approve amendments for the contracts of conversion charter schools.
Dr. Johnson, members of the board, and Mr. Thurman. By June 30th, 2015, each school district in Georgia must choose to operate as an investing in educational excellence school system, i.e. SQUARE, charter system, status quo school system, strategic school system, or as a system of charter schools. The charter contracts of the 3 schools were scheduled to expire on June 30th, 2014. In lieu of submitting renewal petitions originally due to the district in August 2013, the State Department of Education Charter Schools Office has approved an agreement between the district and the conversion charter schools to add an additional year to their current charter contract terms, which would extend each contract to June 30th, 2015, to align with the schedule for the district's decision referenced above. Therefore, it is requested that the Board of Education approve the amendments to extend the terms of the charters for Chamblee Charter High School, Chestnut Charter Elementary School, and Smoke Rise Charter Elementary School for 1 year.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Mayfield?
Yeah, I had one question, and I appreciate you getting the answers to me, and I guess I want to know the implications of the answers, I guess. And that was whether or not any of these schools, or whether they have met their performance commitments.
Right.
And in various areas, some of them, yes, and some of them, no.
Yes.
And so I guess my question has to do with the challenge, or if there is a challenge, with extending it, approving a school for another year if they haven't met some of these commitments.
If you notice on the sheet that I sent out to all
Right.
the board members,
Mhm.
the district, they've all met them as yes on the district's target. Now the state, it looks like Chestnut did not meet it through ELA, English Language Arts, and Math and Science.
Right.
And then also Smoke Rise did not make it through a reading, social studies, math, and science.
Okay.
From the state, but from the
Gotcha. Okay.
district, they did.
Okay. All right.
Mr. McMahon?
Thank you, Chairman. This is just more of a technical question. In the requests from each school, I noticed where the assurances and signatures page
Yes.
had its assurances and actually signatures, except for Smoke Rise, where it was just typed in. From a legal standpoint,
I think I have it on the one where the board chair and the superintendent is assigned. I think I have that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that was.
Let me double check it to make sure.
That would be the signature for
Yes.
Aaron Moore.
Yes.
That's the top line.
Are you speaking of this right here?
The top line.
Mr. Ramsey, you want to look at it? We got to.
I'd appreciate that.
I will look at it and ensure
Okay.
that it receives the proper signature.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're getting into.
Oh, I see what you see. I see what you see.
All right. So, if you look at the previous schools, there was 2 signatures. So, for Chestnut and Chamblee, there are 2 signatures for the authorized representative, and then the principal and board chair. So I'm just from a compliance standpoint. And any rationale given by each of these schools? The schools were requesting this, the district's not requesting it, right? But were the district on behalf of the schools?
Schools were requesting it, and we met with, and I've also got Rocco back here because he's also met with the State Department. And what they asked us to do was, due to the new guidelines that's coming forward, to see if we could get an amendment on their petition so that they will know all the new guidelines and be ready to present.
Rocco, when are those
2015.
guidelines implemented, or are they already implemented? Because I think the vote was last November, right? When was the implementation date?
Well, as Dr. Thompson said, by June 30th of 2015, you'll have to make a decision as a district as to which direction you're going to go in. So I'm not quite certain what guidelines you're talking about, but the point of this measure, as I understand it, was to allow sufficient time because the deadline to seek renewal would have already been in place. So it's an effort to align with the schedule that you have to make your decision as a system. So I'm not certain what additional guidelines will be forthcoming from the state.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes.
Part of the thinking, Mr. Vice Chair, just hypothetically, if we were to become a charter system, then it may not be any need for them to, quote, remain as an independent charter school, because all the schools would be charter schools at that point. So I think the thinking is, and I don't want speak on behalf of them, is that it makes a lot of sense just to wait another year and to see what direction the district is going in before they make a decision about extending their charter. Because if, in fact, we became a charter system, then all of our schools are charter schools.
But by 2015, there must be one of the three.
Yes, sir. There are about 3 major ones and 2 derivative in terms of system organization. Of course, the board would have to choose, and that decision will have to be made by June 30, 2015. And so, to their credit, I think they're just saying it makes much more sense to wait to see which direction we go in before they ask for a new charter.
Mr. Orson?
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit more to it. I think in some conversations that I've had is that one of the fundamental changes in the law concerning conversion charters, and I know it's encapsulated in the blue sheet, is that their structure should look more like startup charter schools in terms of having a governing board, certain areas of authority and autonomy that I understand are still being defined. And so I think some of these schools are also trying to figure out if that's the model that they wanted to embrace. Back to the superintendent's point, I mean, I think in 2015, if we elect to be a charter system, technically not every school is a charter school, but you're operating in a system which, by its nature and its contract with the state, has to push authority down, and how far down is probably part of the decision about implementation, which is different than a system of charter schools in which every school would be a charter school. However, I think some of our conversion charters are not probably only in the system. There has been clearly a manifest intent by the legislature to position conversion charters to have more authority than when they were originally implemented, which includes having a governing board. And as a result, I think these schools, which don't necessarily have a governing board and the structure around it, need some of that time to figure out not only is it tied to the decision we make as a school system, but quite frankly, it may not look like the decision they originally made when they became a conversion charter. And I think this 1-year time period just gives them some running room to sort of make some decisions closer to home about what they want to be.
No, if we don't have any further discussion, is there any opposition to placing this item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, this item will be placed on the consent agenda.